everyone, it's me again. My name is Malcolm and I'm 8 years old. Today I'm going to read my book, Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince. And chapter 9, the Half-Blood Prince. Harry and Ron met Hermione in the common room before breakfast next morning. But hoping for some support on his theory, Harry lost no time in telling Hermione what he had always heard Malfoy saying on the Hogwarts Express. But he was obviously showing off for Parkinson, wasn't he? Injected Ron quickly before Hermione could say anything. Well, he said, and certainly, I don't think it would be like Malfoy to make himself seem more important than he is, but that's a big lie to tell. Exactly, said Harry. But he could not press the point because so many people were trying to listen to his conversation, not to mention staring at him and whispering behind their hands. It is rude to point. Ron snapped at a particularly minuscule first year as they joined the crew to climb out of the portrait hole. The boy who had been worrying about Harry behind his hand to his friend promptly turned scarlet and toppled out of the hole in alarm. Ron sniggered. I love being a 6th year, and we are going to be getting free time this year. Whole periods when we can just sit up here and relax. We're going to need the time for studying, Ron, said Hermione as they sit down. Yeah, but not today, said Ron. Today going to be a real dose. I reckon. Hold it, said Hermione, turning at an eye and hunting a passing for dear who was to push past her with a lime green discussion tightly in his hand. Flying frisbees are banned. Hand it over, she told him sternly. The sculling boy handed over his gnawing frisbee, ducking under Hermione's arm, and took off after his friend. Ron waited for him to vanish, then took the frisbee from Hermione's grip. Excellent. I have always wanted one of these. Excellent. Drew a left giggle. Lavender Brown had apparently found Ron's remark highly amusing. She continued to laugh as she passed him, glancing back at Ron over her shoulder. Ron looked rather pleased with himself. The ceiling of the great hall was surely blue and streaked with and bacon. Harry and Ron told Hermione about the embarrassed conversation with Hagrid the previous evening, but he can't really think we had continued care of magical creatures, she said, looking distressed. I mean, when was any of us expressed? You know, any enthusiasm? I mean, when there has of express, any enthusiasm? That's it, so in it, said Ron, swallowing an entire fried egg. Jose was the ones who made the comfort in class because we like Hagrid, but he thinks we like the stupid subject. Did you reckon anyone's going to go on to NEWT? I mean, when as any of us express, any enthusiasm, that's it. So in it, said Ron, swallowing an entire fried egg whole. We were the ones who made the most effort in class because we like Hagrid, but he did you reckon anyone's going to Newt? Neither Harry nor Hermione answered. There was no need. They knew perfectly well that no one in the zoo would want to continue call magical creatures. The avoid Hagrid's eyes and returned his cherry wave only half hurted when he left the stable. The table 10 minutes later. After they had eaten, they remained in their face and awaiting Professor McGonagall descent from the staff table. Distribution. Professor McGonagall needed first to come that everybody had chosen the necessary owl grades to continue with the chosen Newt. Hermione was immediately clear to continue with Charm's defense against the dark arts, transfiguration, herbology, arithmancy, ancient runes and potions, and shut out to a first period ancient runes class without further ado. Neville took a little longer to sort out his round face with examiners as Professor McGonagall looked down at his application and then consulted his hour's results. Herbology, fine, she said. Professor Sprout will be delighted to see you back with an outstanding owl, and you qualify for defense against dark arts which exceeds expectations. But the problem is transfiguration. I'm sorry, Longbottom, but an acceptable really isn't good enough to continue to Newt level. And just don't you be able to cope with the coursework? Why do you want to continue with transfiguration anyway? I never had the impression that you joined. It never looked miserable and muttered something about my grandmother once. Snorted Professor McGonagall. It's high, the grandmother. Mother learned to be proud of the grandson she got, rather than and the one she thinks she ought to have, particularly after what happened at the ministry. Never turned very pink and confidently. Professor McGonagall never paid him a compliment before. I'm sorry, Longbottom, but I cannot let you into my newt class. I see that you have an exceed expectation in charms. I would say, why not try for a newt in charms? Newt in charms. Yes, sir, said Harry. Well, take 20 earned points for Gryffindor, Miss Granger. Said Slughorn genially. Rather, as he had done the time Hermione had punched him in the face. Hermione turned to Hermione with a radiant expression and whispered, "Did you really tell him I'm the best in this year?" "Oh, Harry." "Well, what is so massive about that?" whispered Ron, who for some reason looked annoyed. "You are the best in this year, I have told him so. If he asked me." Hermione smiled but made a shrugging gesture so that they could hear what Slughorn was saying. Ron looked slightly disgruntled. Morton doesn't really creative love, of course. It is impossible to manufacture or imitate love. No, this was simply called a powerful infatuation or obsession. It is probably the most dangerous and powerful potion in this room. Oh, yes. One tiny bottle of Felix Filius, said Slughorn, taking a minuscule glass bottle with a cork in it out of his pocket and showing it to them. All enough for 12 hours' luck from dawn. Still dusk. You will be lucky in everything you attempt. Now, I must give you warnings that Felix Felicis is a banned substance in Orson's competition sporting events. For instance, examination for an election. So the winner is to use it on an ordinary day. Only in what's now that ordinary day become extraordinary. So says Slughorn, certainly brisk. How are you to win my fabulous prize? Well, by turning to page 10 of event potion making, we have a little over an hour left to us, which should be time for you to make a decent attempt at the drought of living death. I think it's more complex than anything you have attempted before, and I do not accept a perfect potion for anybody. The person who does best, however, will win. Little Felix here. Off you go. There was a scraping as one drew the cauldrons towards them. Some loud clunks as people began adding voice to the scales, but nobody spoke. The concentration within the room was almost tangible. Harry saw Malfoy referring feverishly to his copy of Event Potion Making. He could not have been close and Malfoy really wanted that lucky day. Her Ben swooped over the tattered book, Slughorn had lent him. To his annoyance, he saw that the previous owner had scribbled all over the page, and so that the margins were as black as the printed portions. Being allowed to decipher the ingredients over here, the previous owner had made it annotations and crossed things out. Harry hurried off towards the store cupboard to find what he needed. As he dashed back to his cauldron, he saw Malfoy cutting a Valerians as fast as he could. Having finished chopping his roots, Harry Bench wrote down his book again. It was really irritating having to try and decipher the directions under all the stupid scribbles of the previous owner, who for some reason taken with the order to cut up the beans and had written in alternative instruction. Crushed with flat shot of silver dagger, released roots better than cutting. So I think you knew my grandfather, Abraxas Malfoy. Please look up. Malfoy was just passing the Slytherin's table. Yes, said Slughorn. But as looking at Malfoy, I was sorry to hear he had died. Although, it was an unexpected dragon pox at his age, and he walked away. Harry bent back down his cauldron, smirking. He could tell that Malfoy had unexpected to treat like Harry and Zabini, or Zabini, perhaps even hope for some preferential treatment of the types of he had learned to expect from Snape. It looked as though Malfoy could have to rely on some nothing but talent to win the battle of Felix. The Sopophorus game was proving very difficult to catch up. Harry turns to Hermione. Can I borrow the Silver Knight? She nodded impatiently, not taking her eyes off her potion, which was still deep purple. So, according to the book, ought to be turning a light shade of lilac by now. Harry crushed his beans with the flat side of the dagger. To his astonishment, there immediately existed so much juice that he was amazed. He sure bean could have held it all. Hastily scooping it all into the cauldron, he saw, to his surprise, that the potion immediately turned the shade of lilac described by the textbook. His annoyance with the previous owner vanishing on the spot, Harry now squinted the next line of instructions. According to the book, he has to stir counterclockwise until the potion turned clear as water. According to the addition was previous owner, had made now. Ever he thought to add a clockwise door for every 7 counterclockwise store. Could the owner be right twice? Harry's door counterclockwise held his breath and stored once clockwise. The effect was immediate. The potion turned tallest pink. "How are you doing that?" demanded Hermione, who was red-faced, whose hair was growing bushier in the thumbs from her culture, and her potion was still rigid purple. "At a clockwise door." No, the book says counterclockwise," she snapped. He shrugged and continued what he was doing. 7 stores counterclockwise, who continued. "Mummy, I'm almost finished." "Well, it wasn't exactly your own work, was it?" she said stiffly. "He only followed different instructions for hours," said Ron. "Could have been a has the truth, wasn't it? Couldn't it? But he took Rook. Hang on," said a voice close by Harry's left ear, and caught a sudden waft of that very smell he had picked up in Slughorn's dungeon. He looked round and saw that Ginny had joined them. "Did I hear right? You've been talking others from something someone wrote in a book, Harry." She looked alarmed and angry. Harry knew that was on her mind. "What? It's nothing," he said reassuringly, lowering his voice. "It's not like, riddle diary. It's just an old textbook someone scribbled it. What you doing? What it say?" "I just tried a few of the tips written in the margin. Honestly, Ginny, there's nothing funny." "He's got a point," said Hermione, perking up at once. "We ought to check that there's nothing odd about it. I mean, all these funny instructions, who knows?" "Has Harry," indignantly, as he pulled his copy of Advanced Potion Making out of his bag, and "It seems all right," said Hermione, still staring at the book suspiciously. "I mean, it's really just a textbook good. So I'll have it back," said Harry, snatching it off the table, but slipped from his hand and landed up on the floor. No one else was looking. Harry bent low to retrieve the book, and so he did. He saw something scribbled along the bottom of the page. It won him his bottle of Felicity, now safe hidden inside a pair of socks in his trunk upstairs. "This book is the property of the Half-Blood Prince." "Goodbye, once later. Have a nice day."